Do you ever feel like you're walking through a beautiful landscape, yet constantly snagged by hidden thorns? Interacting with certain people can feel just like that, draining your energy, clouding your mind, leaving you feeling confused or diminished. It's a subtle entanglement, a quiet battle you never signed up for, yet find yourself fighting. You sense the game, but feel unsure how to navigate it without losing yourself. This feeling of being subtly controlled or manipulated is exhausting. It chips away at your peace, making you second-guess your own perceptions. You might feel trapped, wanting to break free but unsure how without causing more conflict or falling into their games. It's a frustrating position, yearning for clarity and a sense of control over your own emotional landscape. This struggle is real, and you are not alone in facing it. What if there was a way to navigate these interactions not with more aggression, or by playing the same games but with wisdom? What if you could outsmart these draining dynamics by understanding the underlying currents, much like a skilled strategist understands the battlefield? There exists timeless wisdom that offers precisely this, a way to protect your peace and reclaim your power, subtly and effectively. We turn to Sun Tzu, an ancient Chinese general and philosopher, renowned for his work The Art of War. But don't let the title mislead you. His teachings are not merely about battlefield combat. They are profound strategies for navigating conflict in all its forms, especially the subtle, psychological battles we face in daily life. His wisdom is about achieving victory with minimal conflict. Sun Tzu teaches that the highest form of skill is not to win every battle, but to subdue the enemy without fighting at all. In our context, the enemy isn't the person themselves, but the toxic dynamic, the manipulation, the drain on your energy. Outsmarting them isn't about cunning deception. It's about strategic awareness and emotional intelligence, preserving your inner calm. So how do we apply this ancient wisdom to modern manipulators? The first principle is foundational: know yourself. Before you can navigate external challenges, you must understand your internal landscape. What are your values? What are your emotional triggers? What depletes your energy and what restores it? What is your ultimate goal in these interactions, victory or peace? Understanding your triggers is crucial. Manipulators often unknowingly or knowingly poke at our insecurities, our desire for approval, or our fear of conflict. When you know what makes you react defensively or emotionally, you can begin to observe those reactions instead of being swept away by them. This awareness is the first step towards regaining control. Ask yourself, what does winning look like for me in this situation? Is it proving the other person wrong, forcing an apology? Often, the true victory is maintaining your composure, upholding your boundaries, and protecting your mental well-being. Defining your own success criteria shifts the power dynamic significantly. Your goal becomes internal peace, not external validation. Knowing yourself also means recognizing your own patterns. Do you tend to people please? Avoid confrontation at all costs? Over-explain yourself? These tendencies can be exploited. Gentle self-honesty allows you to see where you might be inadvertently contributing to the dynamic or leaving yourself vulnerable. This isn't blame, it's empowerment through understanding. Cultivate self-compassion during this process. Understanding your vulnerabilities isn't about harsh judgment. It's about recognizing your humanity. Everyone has triggers and patterns. By acknowledging yours with kindness, you build inner resilience, making it harder for external negativity to find a foothold. This inner strength is your foundation. Once you have a clearer sense of your own terrain, Sun Tzu advises, know the enemy. Again, this isn't about viewing the person as evil, but understanding the dynamic and the tactics often employed in manipulation. Observe their patterns of behavior, their communication style, and what seems to motivate them without becoming emotionally entangled in their narrative. What tactics do they typically use? Is it guilt tripping, playing the victim, flattery followed by unreasonable demands, gaslighting, making you doubt your reality, constant criticism veiled as help? Recognizing the specific tools in their toolbox allows you to see them for what they are: strategies, not reflections of your worth. Consider their likely motivations. Often, manipulative behaviors stem from deep-seated insecurity, a need for control, fear of abandonment, or unresolved emotional wounds. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can depersonalize it. It's less about you and more about their own internal struggles playing out externally. This perspective creates distance. Pay attention to inconsistencies. Manipulators often say one thing and do another, or their story changes depending on the audience. Notice these discrepancies without pointing them out directly or engaging in arguments about truth. Simply observe and note the pattern. This data helps you predict their moves and navigate more effectively. Sun Tzu emphasized understanding the terrain, the context of the interaction. Where do these manipulations usually happen? Are there specific situations or topics that trigger them? Understanding the environment helps you anticipate and prepare, or even choose to avoid certain terrains altogether if possible. Knowledge of the context is strategic advantage. Remember, the goal of knowing the enemy is not confrontation, but understanding. It's like studying a weather pattern. You don't argue with a storm. You observe its characteristics, predict its path, and take appropriate measures to protect yourself. This detached observation is key to maintaining your own equilibrium. This knowledge of yourself and the manipulative patterns empowers you. It moves you from being a reactive participant in their drama to a strategic observer. You start to see the strings, the predictable moves in the game. This clarity is the beginning of outsmarting the dynamic, not by playing, but by understanding. The next crucial element Sun Tzu implicitly teaches is the power of stillness and emotional detachment. When faced with provocation or manipulation, our instinct is often to react immediately, defend, argue, explain, attack back. This emotional reactivity is precisely what manipulators often feed on. It gives them power. Practice pausing. When you feel triggered, instead of reacting instantly, take a breath. Create a small space between the stimulus, their words or actions, and your response. This pause is incredibly powerful. It breaks the cycle of reactivity and allows your thinking mind, informed by your observations, to catch up. During this pause, observe your own internal state. What emotions are arising? Fear, anger, guilt. Acknowledge them without judgment. Then observe the external situation again, using the knowledge you've gathered about their patterns and your own triggers. See it not as a personal attack, but as a predictable move in a game you now understand. Emotional detachment doesn't mean being cold or uncaring. It means not letting their emotional state dictate yours. It means refusing to absorb their negativity, anxiety, or anger. You maintain your own center, your own emotional equilibrium, regardless of the storm brewing outside. Your peace is not contingent on their behavior. Think of their provocative words or actions like arrows shot your way. Reactivity means letting those arrows hit and wound you. Detached observation means seeing the arrows flying, understanding their source, and choosing not to stand in their path or let them pierce your inner peace. You observe their flight without internalizing the impact. This stillness allows for clarity. When you're not caught in the emotional whirlwind, you can see the situation more objectively. You can access your strategic thinking. What is the wisest response here? Does this even require a response? Often, the most powerful action is strategic inaction. Cultivating this inner stillness takes practice. It starts with noticing your reactivity in small moments. Notice when you feel defensive or compelled to justify yourself. Practice breathing and observing instead. Each small victory builds your capacity for composure in more challenging situations. It's a muscle you strengthen over time. Remember Sun Tzu's wisdom. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Your inner state, your calm, your clarity, your self-awareness, is the win you achieve before even engaging. This internal victory makes you far less susceptible to external manipulation. Now we arrive at a cornerstone of Sun Tzu's strategy. Choose your battles. Not every provocation needs a response. Not every conflict needs to be engaged. One of the most powerful ways to outsmart a manipulator is to refuse to play their game. Strategic non-engagement is often the wisest course. Manipulators often thrive on attention and reaction, even negative reaction. When you refuse to give them the emotional response they seek, you deny them their fuel. Ignoring baiting comments, changing the subject, or simply offering a neutral, non-committal response can be incredibly effective at disarming them. Ask yourself, is this battle necessary? Does engaging serve my ultimate goal, likely peace and well-being? Or will it simply drain my energy and entangle me further? If the answer is the latter, then disengagement is not weakness. It is strategic strength. You are conserving your valuable resources for what truly matters. This might look like setting boundaries, clearly stating what you will and will not accept without excessive explanation or apology. "I'm not comfortable discussing that," or "I can't agree to that request," delivered calmly and firmly, refuses engagement on their terms. It reclaims your ground. Sometimes choosing your battle means physically removing yourself from the situation. If a conversation becomes circular, draining, or manipulative, you have the right to end it politely and leave. "I need to step away now," or "let's revisit this another time." This preserves your energy and prevents further escalation. Sun Tzu said, "He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight." This discernment is crucial. It requires trusting your intuition, grounded in your self-knowledge and your observation of the other person's patterns. Some issues do need addressing, but many manipulative ploys are best left unanswered. Choosing not to engage can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to defending yourself or seeking resolution. It requires releasing the need to win the argument or change the other person's mind. The victory lies in preserving your own peace and refusing to participate in a toxic dynamic. This strategy starves the manipulation of the energy it needs to survive. When bait isn't taken, when drama isn't fueled, the manipulator's tactics often lose their power. They may escalate temporarily, but consistent non-engagement, where safe and appropriate, often leads them to seek easier targets elsewhere. Remember, your energy is finite and precious. Where do you want to invest it? In fruitless battles designed to drain you, or in building your own well-being, pursuing your goals, and connecting with supportive people? Choosing non-engagement is a powerful act of self-preservation and strategic resource allocation. Sun Tzu's wisdom also hints at a more subtle strategy, using the opponent's energy, but not in a manipulative way. It's about understanding their momentum and deflecting it skillfully, rather than meeting force with force. Think of Aikido principles applied to conversation. For example, if someone uses excessive flattery to soften you up for an unreasonable request, you can acknowledge the compliment neutrally. "Thank you for saying so." But then firmly address the request based on your boundaries, without being swayed by the flattery. You acknowledge their energy but don't absorb its intended effect. If someone tries to guilt-trip you, "After all I've done for you," instead of getting defensive or giving in, you can respond with calm validation of their feelings if appropriate, but reiterate your boundary. "I understand you feel disappointed, but I'm unable to do that." This deflects the guilt without accepting it. When faced with vague accusations or attempts to gaslight, resist the urge to endlessly explain or defend your reality. Instead, you might use clarifying questions that put the onus back on them, gently. "What specifically are you referring to?" Or "How did you come to that conclusion?" delivered neutrally, can sometimes expose the lack of substance. This isn't about playing games back. It's about maintaining your center and responding with calm, boundary-based communication. You use your understanding of their likely tactics, flattery, guilt, vagueness, to inform your response, allowing you to sidestep the intended manipulation without escalating the conflict. You remain anchored. This requires confidence in your own perceptions and boundaries, nurtured by the self-knowledge we discussed earlier. It's the calm assertion of your reality without needing their validation or agreement. "That's not my experience," stated simply and without aggression, can be a powerful deflection. Let's bring this into sharper focus. Imagine a colleague constantly forgets things you agreed upon, making you look unreliable. Instead of getting angry reacting, you document key agreements briefly via email strategic action and calmly refer back to it if needed, as per my email on Tuesday. You counter the tactic without accusation. Consider a relative who uses guilt to demand excessive amounts of your time. Instead of arguing or over-explaining, reacting, you pause, acknowledge their desire to connect. It's lovely you want to spend time together. Then clearly state your availability based on your boundaries. "I can visit for an hour on Saturday." You choose the engagement level. What about someone who subtly criticizes your choices under the guise of concern? Instead of defending your choices, taking the bait, you can offer a neutral, boundary-setting response. "Thank you for your concern. I've considered my options and I'm comfortable with my decision." It acknowledges their input without validating the criticism or engaging further. If someone tries to dominate the conversation, constantly interrupting or redirecting, instead of fighting for airtime or withdrawing completely, you can strategically wait for a pause and calmly interject with a boundary. "Excuse me, I'd like to finish my thought," or using a brief, non-verbal cue to indicate you're waiting to speak. The core principle in all these examples is shifting from emotional reaction to conscious response. You observe the tactic, consult your inner knowledge, boundaries, goals, and choose a response that protects your peace and integrity, often involving minimal engagement or calm redirection. This is strategic living. This approach requires presence and awareness in the moment. It's about noticing the dynamic as it unfolds, recognizing the familiar patterns and making a conscious choice based on Sun Tzu's principles. Know yourself, know the terrain, remain calm, and choose your battles wisely. It's important to remember that you cannot control other people's behavior. You cannot force them to change or stop being manipulative. The only thing you truly have control over is your own internal state and your responses. This is where your true power lies. Focus your energy here. Outsmarting toxic people and manipulators in the spirit of Sun Tzu isn't about being more cunning or deceitful. It's about becoming strategically aware, emotionally resilient, and fiercely protective of your own peace. It's an inner victory that radiates outward. When you stop reacting emotionally, when you refuse to engage in pointless battles, when you respond calmly from a place of self-awareness and clear boundaries, you fundamentally change the dynamic. You remove the hooks that manipulators rely on. You become less of a target. This journey requires patience and practice. You won't get it right every time. Be kind to yourself. Each interaction is an opportunity to learn and refine your approach. The goal isn't perfection, but progress towards greater inner peace and strategic wisdom in navigating difficult relationships. So let's synthesize this wisdom. Dealing with toxic people isn't about fighting fire with fire. It's about understanding the nature of the fire, their tactics, motivations, and understanding yourself, your triggers, goals. It's about cultivating inner stillness amidst the heat. The core message is this: true strength lies in strategic understanding, emotional detachment, and the wisdom to choose non-engagement when necessary. By knowing yourself, observing patterns calmly, and protecting your energy, you effectively outsmart manipulation and preserve your inner sanctuary. This isn't a passive approach, it's highly proactive. You are actively managing your internal state, actively observing the dynamics, and actively choosing responses that align with your well-being. It's about taking conscious control where it matters most, within yourself. Consider one relationship or interaction where you feel drained. How might applying just one of these principles, perhaps pausing before reacting, or identifying one manipulative tactic without judgment. Shift the dynamic even slightly. Start small. The power lies in consistent, small shifts. The promise of Sun Tzu's wisdom isn't a world free of difficult people, but the inner capacity to navigate those difficulties with grace, intelligence, and peace. It's about becoming the calm strategist of your own life, preserving your energy for what truly nourishes you. This wisdom empowers you to reclaim your narrative. No longer defined by others' attempts to control or diminish you, you stand grounded in your own awareness, choosing peace over conflict, strategy over reactivity. You become the architect of your own emotional well-being. Reflect on the feeling of empowerment that comes not from dominating others, but from mastering oneself. This is the quiet victory Sun Tzu points towards, a victory won not on an external battlefield, but within the landscape of your own mind and heart. Carry this thought with you. Your peace is your responsibility and your greatest protection. By applying strategic wisdom and cultivating inner calm, you build an internal fortress that manipulation cannot easily breach. You learn to outsmart the storm by becoming the eye within it. Remember the power of observation. Watch interactions like a strategist studies a map. Notice the patterns, the attempts to push your buttons without immediate judgment or reaction. This mindful awareness is your shield and your guide. It informs your next, wisest move. And recall the strength in stillness, the pause before response, the deep breath that anchors you. This space you create is where wisdom enters. It prevents impulsive reactions that feed the very dynamic you wish to escape. Stillness is strategic depth. The choice to disengage is not failure. It is wisdom in action. Conserving your energy for positive pursuits is a strategic victory. Let go of the need to have the last word or prove your point. Your peace is the prize. Embrace the journey of self-knowledge. The more you understand your own values, boundaries, and triggers, the less susceptible you are to external manipulation. Your inner clarity becomes an unshakable foundation. Build it consciously, day by day. Sun Tzu's ancient strategies offer timeless relevance. They guide us towards navigating human complexities not through conflict, but through understanding, detachment, and wisdom. Apply them not as weapons, but as tools for peace. May you find strength in strategy, power in peace, and wisdom in your responses. May you navigate the challenging currents of human interaction with increasing skill and unwavering inner calm. The ability to outsmart toxicity lies within your own awareness. Consider the puppet master metaphor often associated with manipulators. When you understand the strings, your triggers, their tactics, and choose not to dance, the strings lose their power. You are no longer a puppet but an aware observer, free to move according to your own will. Practice identifying the bait. What comments or actions seem designed to hook you emotionally? Simply noticing the hook without biting is a significant step. Ah, there's the guilt trip, or interesting, that feels like gaslighting. This internal naming diffuses its power. Reframe losing an argument as winning your peace. If stepping back or refusing to engage means the manipulator thinks they've won, let them. Your victory condition is internal serenity and conserved energy, not external validation from someone playing games. Redefine your win. Use minimal encouragers strategically. Sometimes a simple "I see" or "okay," delivered neutrally, can acknowledge you've heard someone without agreeing or validating manipulative content. It avoids fueling the fire while also avoiding direct confrontation if that feels unsafe or unwise. Remember that consistent boundary setting is key. A boundary stated once might be tested repeatedly. Calm, consistent repetition. As I said, I'm not available then. That topic isn't up for discussion. Reinforces your position without adding emotional fuel. Consistency builds credibility. Trust your gut feeling. Often, your intuition will signal when an interaction feels off or manipulative, even if you can't immediately pinpoint why. Honor that feeling. Use it as a cue to heighten your observation skills, pause, and proceed with strategic caution. Your intuition is valuable data. Avoid jade, justifying, arguing, defending, explaining. Manipulators often exploit the desire to explain oneself. Keep responses concise and boundary-focused where possible. You don't owe lengthy explanations for your feelings or decisions, especially when manipulation is suspected. Focus on the behavior, not the person's character, if you must address something. When X happens, I feel Y is less confrontational than you are manipulative. However, often with true manipulators, even this is ineffective. Prioritize non-engagement and boundaries first. Surround yourself with supportive relationships. Having people who validate your reality, respect your boundaries, and don't engage in toxic dynamics provides a healthy baseline. This contrast makes manipulative behavior easier to spot and resist. Healthy connections build resilience. Remember that chronic manipulators often project their own flaws onto others. If you are accused of being selfish, controlling, or dishonest by someone who exhibits these traits, recognize it might be projection. Don't internalize accusations that don't fit. See them as potential insights into the accuser. The ultimate outsmarting is achieving a state where their behavior has minimal impact on your inner peace. It's not about changing them, but about changing your relationship with their behavior through the lens of strategic wisdom and emotional self-mastery. This is achievable. Let Sun Tzu's wisdom be a lantern in the fog of confusing interactions. Use its principles to illuminate the path forward, focusing on what you can control: your awareness, your responses, your energy, and your commitment to your own well-being. Take a moment to appreciate your own desire for growth and peace. Clicking on a video like this shows you are already seeking wisdom, already taking steps towards navigating life with greater skill. Acknowledge that inherent strength within you. The path isn't always easy, but it is empowering. Each time you choose conscious response over emotional reaction, you strengthen your strategic muscle and reclaim a piece of your inner peace. Keep practicing, keep observing, keep choosing wisdom. Remember the core, know yourself deeply. Observe their patterns without judgment. Cultivate inner stillness. Choose your battles wisely, often opting for strategic non-engagement. Respond consciously, not reactively. This is the art of outsmarting manipulation. May this understanding serve as your shield and guide, helping you navigate the world with greater calm, confidence, and wisdom. Preserve your energy, protect your peace, and walk your path with strategic grace. Think of this not as a set of rigid rules, but as adaptable principles. Context matters. Sometimes directness is needed, other times silence speaks volumes. The key is the underlying awareness and intention to protect your peace strategically. When you feel overwhelmed by a manipulative dynamic, return to the breath. It's your anchor in the present moment, the space where you can access your calm observation skills before choosing your response. Breathing consciously is a fundamental strategic pause. Letting go of the need for others to understand your position can be liberating. Strategic detachment means accepting that manipulators may never acknowledge your perspective or the impact of their actions. Your validation must come from within. Observe how manipulators often try to isolate their targets. Maintaining healthy connections with trusted friends or family provides crucial perspective and support. Don't allow toxic dynamics to sever your lifelines to reality and validation. Notice the language used. Manipulators often employ ambiguity, generalizations, "you always," or future faking, promising things that never materialize. Recognizing these linguistic patterns helps you stay grounded in concrete reality and avoid getting drawn into vague arguments or false hopes. Remember, setting a boundary is not aggressive, it's self-respecting. Delivering it calmly and firmly is key. Practice saying no without guilt or over-explanation in low-stakes situations to build confidence for more challenging interactions. No is a complete sentence. The wisdom of Sun Tzu encourages preparing for difficulties, not by becoming paranoid, but by developing internal resources. Your self-awareness, emotional regulation skills, and strategic thinking are your preparations for navigating life's inevitable interpersonal challenges effectively. Ultimately, this path leads to greater freedom. Freedom from being emotionally hijacked. Freedom from draining conflicts. Freedom to invest your precious life energy where it truly matters. This freedom is the quiet triumph of applied wisdom. Embrace your inner strategist. Approach challenging interactions not with fear or anger, but with calm curiosity and a commitment to your own peace. You hold the keys to navigating these dynamics with wisdom and grace. The journey to mastering these skills is ongoing, a lifelong practice of awareness and refinement. Be patient with yourself, celebrate small victories, and continue to seek wisdom that empowers and uplifts you. Your peace is worth protecting,